Hello, I'm Shakti Saran, founder of Shaktify, an initiative to support changemakers. On 8th December 2022, I had the privilege of hosting Satish Kumar, founder of Schumacher College. Our webinar topic was Regenerative Learning, its significance and spread. And this webinar was precipitated by the release of a compendium of essays called Regenerative Learning by Dartington Trust and Schumacher College in October of 2022. The webinar began by asking Satish what the term regenerative learning meant to him. Is education a lifelong process, or is it confined to only schools, vocational institutes, and universities? Satish's reply was that whatever learning that supports life is regenerative. We are regenerative. And the terms learning and education are occasionally used interchangeably. Satish felt that education is a lifelong process and that learning never stops. We don't just learn intellectually, but we also learn to make things with our hands. Making is a creative process, and he is an advocate of an art of living. He wants us to be a maker and not just a consumer. That is his ideal of education. The second question that I asked him was about his association with the economist E.F. Schumacher and why he established Schumacher College. And he mentioned about he recollected that he had met Schumacher in 1972 and that Schumacher had requested Satish to remain behind in the UK and to establish and introduce Gandhian values to the West. First question to Satish, was the compendium on regenerative learning along with Lorna Hawat. Was there a reason you chose the word learning over education, and should we use the words education and learning interchangeably? Here is Satish's response and the rest of the webinar recording.
Because all humans have two aspects, two spheres of brain. The left hemisphere of the brain and the right hemisphere of the brain. The left hemisphere is the more reason, logic, science, measurement, quantities, administration, management. All that is left brain. And the right brain is more intuitive, more spiritual, more imaginative, and more creative. So at our school and our universities, we don't teach young people to use both brains. And we don't teach young people to use their hands. And we don't teach young people to use their hearts. So hands, hearts, and half of brain is missing. And we are spending years and years and years to train just the half brain. And we are spending millions and millions and millions of rupees and dollars and pounds and yens and rubles and euros and all the money just to train half brain. I thought that is very wrong. Therefore, we need to change the word and make it more learning so that students take responsibility to learn themselves rather than be educated, half brain education. And so education of head, education of hearts, education of hands, that kind of holistic education where you are learning to live a good life and have a multidisciplinary education so that you are aware of many subjects rather than just specializing in one subject. So that is why I feel that learning has a kind of more self-motivation, self-organizing, self-initiative. I am going to learn. I take responsibility. I'm not putting responsibility on the teachers or the schools or the university that you teach me, you educate me. No, I'm going to learn. I'm taking responsibility upon my own shoulders to be a student and learn about life. I want to be in charge of my life. I want to be in charge of my learning. That is the reason I chose learning over education.
All right, lovely. So an associated question, to what extent are our education systems today, our contemporary education systems, responsible for the global challenges that we face, and in particular the environmental crisis? And is it more a case of attribution or is it more contribution?
I would say, Shakti, that majority of the problem of the world today we face climate change, global warming, diminishing biodiversity, wars, conflicts, poverty, you name any problem. These problems are created by highly educated people. Who leads the war in Iraq or in Afghanistan or in Ukraine? Highly educated people from Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale, all these universities, big universities in every country. So education has become the part of the problem. Education teaches millions and millions of people to go out in the world and maintain the industrial system of economy, which is highly polluting and highly destructive, extractive. Take from nature as much as you can, as if human beings are there as a colonial masters, imperial masters, and the nature is our colony and exploit nature. That is the education. So education has become the part of the problem. Unless we create a new kind of learning, a new kind of education, where we learn to live in harmony with nature, we learn to live in harmony with human beings, we learn to live in harmony with ourselves and not be extractive. Because humans are not here as colonial masters or imperial masters to exploit nature and create plastic. Oceans are full of plastic. Rivers are full of sewage. Our climate is full of greenhouse gases. And these are all educated people. Problems are not created by uneducated peasants or farmers or ordinary poor workers, laborers. They are created by highly educated people. So education has become part of the problem. This is why I started Schumacher College, to make education as learning and a part of solution, so we can learn to live in harmony with ourselves, in harmony with our fellow human beings, and in harmony with the natural world.
In your essay, The True Meaning of Education, which features in this book, you sound your disapproval of the edtech industry. But my own experience has been, quite different. For example, in the pandemic, I enrolled in the Capra course. I did a lot of programs online, and to me personally, they turned out to be a great boon. So, are we somewhere mixing up the medium and the delivery of education? Can you share your views on technology?
Yes, I'm not against technology, Shakti. I am only saying in my article that technology should not be the master. Technology should be the servant of humanity. At the moment, all our production is done by machines. Agriculture is done by robots, particularly in the West. In India, maybe still some small farmers and making agriculture and producing food in an organic way. But majority of the agriculture in the West, in America and Europe, are run by robots. And all our clothes, our shoes, our furniture, our buildings, everything is produced by machines. Humans are not necessary. Humans are not needed to make anything. And then now we are creating artificial intelligence, which means humans don't need to think. Let the machines think. So producing anything, making anything is given to robots and machines and technology, and thinking is now increasingly being given to artificial intelligence. What are we going to do with humans? If we are not producing anything and we are not thinking anything, what are we going to do? So I'm saying that use technology as an aid to human work, an aid to human health, aid to human thinking. Okay, I'm using Zoom now, and we are using technology, and people are from all over the world. I'm not against technology, but I'm against making technology as the master of our humankind, and human beings becoming the servants of technology, and technology guiding and controlling our lives, rather than we controlling technology. So that is the balance that I'm striking in my essay, in that book. I'm not saying technology is bad. I'm saying technology should be the servant of humanity, and humanity should be the master.
Thank you for that clarity. That is that's very pertinent what you just said. So I'm going to move on to the third part of this discussion, which is on how regenerative learning manifests itself. And before that, Satish, we just spoke about education and learning, but most people today use the terms interchangeably. So for the purposes of this webinar, please allow me to also use that term interchangeably. So is education, according to you, is it not a lifelong process? Should it be confined to schools, vocational institutes, and universities?
No, I am not saying that education should be only limited to schools and universities. Education and learning is a lifelong process. I teach at Schumacher College, and I'm 86 years old. I've been teaching at Schumacher College for 30 years. But even then, now, when I teach, I say to my students that I am also a student, and you students are my teachers. So learning never stops. I'm a student, I'm learning. But what I'm saying in the field of education is that we should learn not only intellectually, but we also learn to make things, to make with our hands. And making is not just for consumption, but making is as a kind of creative process. Art is not just a painting or a dancing or music. Of course they are art, and I admire that. And I want people to be artists, musicians and dancers and painters. But also I want the art of living, art of building house, art of cooking food, art of gardening, art of making clothes, art of conversation. Art should permeate throughout life. So I want a society of artists. I want a society of craftspeople. I don't want just a society of robots. And I don't want just a society of clerks and administrators. I want everybody. Even if you're a farmer, a gardener, you're an artist. Even if you're working in an office, you should be an artist. So that is my vision of a new kind of society where we are not mere consumers. We are makers. We are not just materialistic sort of consumers of goods, but we are artists and creators and producers and makers. So rather than being a consumer, be a maker. That is my ideal of education. And education should be a lifelong process. Schools and universities are only for a while, but education is more about life and not about jobs. At the moment, education has become just for the jobs. I should get a salary, and we become addicted to salary, then we get a pension and we die. And our creativity, our imagination, our spirituality, our artistic talent, they're all suppressed. So, and then we put artists and in a kind of pedestal. Then few people become very famous artists, celebrities, and the rest of the humanity become consumers of art. We go to art gallery, we go to a museum, we go to a concert hall to consume art. That is what I want to change. I want education to be a lifelong process where everybody is an artist. Artist is not a special kind of person, but every person is a special kind of artist.
Right, but Satish, there's several NGOs, and I know many NGOs here in India today who are in the education center and who are, working towards the removal of inequalities by focusing on literacy and numeracy skills. So, shouldn't the removal of economic inequalities matter?
No, I am happy with that, but I think education should not be just limited to 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. Actually, they are not even 3 R's, but English don't know how to spell, so they call it 3 R's. So it should be more than reading, writing, arithmetic. It should be more about being creative, being imaginative, being holistic, being how to live a good life, being in a good relationship with natural world, in being good relationship with the human world, how to live peacefully in the world. All those values must be part of education. Education is not just about literacy. We have reduced education to literacy. and intellectual academic learning or management learning. And this is a kind of reductionist education. I want education to be more holistic, more inclusive, and much broader concept of education. That is my vision. This is why I say economy must be brought together. If you just teach economy without ecology, then it becomes exploitative, because we look at nature only as a resource for the economy. I challenge that. I said, nature is not a resource for the economy. Nature is a source of life itself. In the modern world, we even have put humans as a resource for the economy. You have business where you have an HR department. HR stands for human resources. I think that's a dreadful idea to put humans as a resource for running the business and the profit and money and production and consumption. Human dignity is very important to me. I want human relationship, not human resources. HR should stand for human relationship and not for human resources. So nature has become a resource, humans have become a resource, and only goal we have today in our economic system is to make profit, to make money, to more production, more consumption, economic growth. Economic growth is not economic growth, it's a money growth. So what we call economy is not economy, it's a money-nomy. This is what I'm challenging. Bring ecology, economy together.
So you were invited by the London School of Economics, some time ago, and you, in the address, when you addressed them, you implored your audience at the LSE to re-Christian their institution as the LSEE, or the London School of Economics and Ecology. So how receptive were they to your invocation?
Thank you for mentioning that. I was very pleased to be invited to speak at the LSE. And I asked them, do you know what economy means? Economy is not just about finance and the banking and administration of business. Economy means management of the planet home. In the wisdom of Greek philosophers, the entire planet is our home, and the management of the entire planet home. And ecology means knowledge of the planet home. Now you are teaching economy, how to manage the planet home, but without teaching ecology, what is planet home? Knowledge of planet home. How are you going to manage something which you don't know? So managing requires knowing. And therefore I said, you must change the name of your university and call it LSEE, the London School of Ecology and Economics, so that you know your planet home and you manage planet home. The audience was very receptive. Students came to me and said, we want that. Even some lecturers said, we want that. But the Vice Chancellor, she wrote me a very nice letter, and she said, no, but we can't change the name. It's too difficult. We will try to bring some ecological environmental studies in our university. So they were a bit timid, I would say. I said, you need a bit of courage to change the name, because just studying economics has become out of date. Without ecology, economy can be dangerous. And so that's my plea, not only to LSE, but every university in the world. I say to every university that bring ecology and economy together. Without ecology, economy can be dangerous. This is what is happening today. We have economy everywhere. All governments are seeking economic growth, but they don't have understanding for ecology. This is why we have a climate change, we have global warming, we have pollution, we have waste, oceans are polluted, soil is polluted, rivers are polluted. How are we going to live on this planet? We have to think about future generations. Our economy should be a circular economy, so that everything what is coming from nature goes back to nature. At the moment, our economy is a linear economy. Take from nature, use it, consume it, throw it away, and waste and pollution. This linear economy needs to change in our educational system. And we need to educate our young people to create a circular economy, a cyclical economy, where everything returns back to nature and nothing is polluted, nothing is wasted. That is the economy of nature. If we can learn from nature, nature is our teacher, nature is our mentor. We have to learn from nature how to run our economy. Economy of nature is supreme.
That's such a pity that the Vice Chancellor of LSE, couldn't remove, the blind spot. It's just very evident that economics and ecology are two sides of the same coin. But I hope that going forward, people get the message very clear that you can't segregate economics and ecology, and the management, the eco, the word which is so common, it's a common root to both ecology and economy. And I hope that with conversations like these, that awareness starts building up, that how imperative it is to bring both of them together. So I'm going to, come back to the topic of, the attributes of regenerative learning. Can you also share with us what do you feel is the role of experiential education in the larger regenerative learning narrative?
Yes, Shakti. The place of experience is crucial to our education and our learning, because knowledge without experience is just knowledge. It has no real value. To put real value in your information and knowledge is to you experience it by living it, by practicing it. So ecology is not an academic subject. Economy should not be just an academic subject. No, nothing should be just economic. You learn about music academically, but if you don't practice to play sitar or violin or veena or tabla, then that information is not good. You have to play, you have to experience. In the same way, you can learn theory about agriculture, but you don't produce anything. That's no good. So knowledge and experience must be married together. When knowledge and experience come together, then wisdom is born. Like wisdom is a child of knowledge and experience. You can say knowledge maybe is a father, and experience is the mother, and wisdom is a child, as a kind of metaphor. And so knowledge and experience coming together, the masculine and feminine coming together, and in that relationship becoming regenerative. So regenerative education requires the knowledge and experience coming together. That's essential. This is why at Schumacher College, all our students experience whatever they are learning. They go out in nature. They learn from nature. They work in the garden. They produce food. They work in the kitchen. They work together in the kitchen. And they live like a community. They sing together. They walk together. They experience community life together. That is a holistic approach to learning. So knowledge and experience are like a twin, like male, female, yin, yang. Without one, the other is incomplete. So bring those two together. It's similar to bringing ecology and economics together, bringing knowledge and experience together in order to produce wisdom.
So I have another question for you, Satish. It's on a slightly different tack, but very much related to what we are speaking on right now. So I find in the world of education that an overriding emphasis is given to the curriculum. And on the other hand, I find very little attention being given to the way students are assessed. Is it not that assessments can be a powerful leverage point? Can you share, your thinking on this and your experience on this? How can we transform the way in which assessments are carried out?
Now, assessment is a very left-brain approach. You need a bit of assessment because you need to know if your student has learned what they have learned or not. But assessment should not be just academic. Assessment should not be just on a piece of paper or writing a dissertation or something like that. Assessment should also include some kind of making, some kind of work which you can show, like a piece of pottery or a piece of furniture or a piece of cooking or something which is more practical and more experiential. So I would say our assessment at the moment is too narrow and too limited. It's very academic. And also, we should, when you are living life is more than assessment. Life is a relationship. And relationship cannot be assessed in a kind of superficial way. It's a very profound way of life that we have to live. So I would say assessment should be a bit more holistic and much more creative, more imaginative, and more than academic. That is my view on assessment.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how Schumacher College is, and also others? It could be any other examples that you can give us of how others are reimagining education and learning?
I mean, at Schumacher College is what I have experienced. I also started a small school in my village in England, in Devon. And the idea was that children should do morning in academic learning, history, geography, science, mathematics, etc., languages. And in the afternoon, they should learn about nature and from nature, going outdoor, and also gardening. And every day children did cooking. So when we started this small school for children, and the same with Schumacher College, we say that learning by doing. This is our kind of fundamental two-word or three-word philosophy. When you do something, when you make something, you experience. So I would say that in our old schools, for example, in England, we have famous universities like Oxford or Cambridge. Young students there never see a farm or never go to a garden. They are always in a library or in front of a screen or in a classroom. I say Oxford and Cambridge have land. They have big farms, but they are tenant farmers. I would like to see all the students and teachers and professors and lecturers and vice chancellor and even chancellor, they should go to the farm. Every school should have a farm associated with it. Every university should have a farm associated with it. So that's what at Schumacher College, we have 9 acres of land. And those 9 acres produced last year 30,000 pounds worth of food for the college. So our students are not just learning academically, they are producing food for the college. And they are cleaning the college. And this is not just to save money, it's experience. So I would say every school, every university should be associated with land, with nature. Our classic economics used to have a land, labor, capital. Land came at the top, then labor, people, and then capital. At the moment, our economics is capital, and then people and land are only a resource. This is very, very wrong. So I would say that at Schumacher College, we are trying to set the example of learning by doing and experiencing and using your hand, being a maker rather than a consumer. That is the new idea of education. That is regenerative education.
Thank you, Satish. I realize I have less than 5 minutes left and I have some fair amount of ground to cover with you. So we'll try and do this rapidly. So one question that I have for you has got to do with the United Nations SDG, in particular, Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is quality education. If one was to really read the background of SDG 4, it is very largely focused on, access to education and removal of gender disparities in education. But it's not speaking the language of regenerative. So to what extent, in your view, is SDG 4 contributing to our malaise?
Yes, I think education for sustainable development is a good initiative. It's a good start. It's a good start, I can say. I like it. But it's not enough. It has to go much further. Because sustainable development should be also regenerative development. Sustainability is not enough. Something can be sustainable, not creative, not regenerative, not fulfilling, not joyful, not long-term. And so I would say sustainable development goals and education there, learning for sustainability, is a good start. But there's a long way to go. And long way to go is by including regenerative culture, that how our learning supports life, all life, forest life, river life, ocean life, animal life, human life, all life must support. Humans have come from nature. Nature and humans are not separate. At the moment, even in sustainable development goals, we see humans and nature as separate. And somehow, we need to change that. And we need to say humans are as much nature as mountains, forests, rivers, ocean, and animals. We are nature. In the beginning of the Big Bang, in the original of time, there was no humans, there were no animals, there was no forest. Over billions of years, evolution has happened. And in the last, like a blink of time, humans have appeared. But we have all come from animals, or from the forest, or from the oceans. They are our ancestors. So the separation between humans and nature has to come to an end. Humans and nature are one. Humans are as much nature as mountains, forests, rivers, and animals. If we can have that into sustainable development goals and education for sustainable development, then I think it is a step in the right direction. It's a good beginning, but it doesn't go far enough, in my view. It needs to go a little bit more radical. So it needs to be a bit more courageous and say, we are going to bring unity between humans and nature, and no separation, not looking after nature, but we are in control of nature. Using nature sustainably is not enough. We are nature. We are not separate from nature. And therefore, what we do to nature, we do to ourselves. If we pollute the water, we have to drink it. If we pollute the air, we have to breathe it. If we have global warming, we have to live with it. So do not destroy nature. We are nature. If you can bring that into sustainable development goal and number 4, educational part of it, then I think it'll be radical. At the moment, I think it's not radical enough. It doesn't go far enough. That's my view.
So maybe in 2030, we have a new set of goals called goals for regenerative development. Yeah, let's see. Time will tell us. Okay, I'm going to just restrict myself to one final question and then hand it over to Joan, who will help us, to Andrea, who will help us, with the question and answers. So what are some of the steps each one of us on this call today can take to make learning regenerative?
All of us are students. So all of you who are listening to me, consider yourself learners. And learning not by intellectual academic information, but learning by doing. So all of us need to live a sustainable lifestyle, a regenerative lifestyle. So being the change is as important as talking about change. So as Mahatma Gandhi said famously, be the change that you want to see in the world. That is first step. All of you can start with your own life. But don't stop there. Also learn to communicate these ideas to other people, to your friends, to your family, to your work place, your colleagues. Communicate the change. Unless we learn to communicate this change, the word will not spread. So we need to learn to spread the word. We need to build a movement for regenerative living and regenerative transformation. And so communicate the change. And then also I would like to ask you, all of you who are listening to me, join others. A great river is made of hundreds and hundreds of little tributaries. So each and every individual is a tributary in the great river of transformation. So if you join others, all our movement has to be co-creation. We have to work together, not just individualistically, but collectively. So be the change, communicate the change, and join others to change. And that way we can create a new regenerative education movement. And that will be a great gift to the world.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I think that is, your final comments are it's so insightful. Thank you very much for this, terrific conversation, Satish. I'm going to hand over the mic now to Andrea, who is going to help us with the question and answers. Andrea, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Shakti. Thank you, Satish. And thank you, everyone who's been typing in in the chat. So this is, I've noted down many of your questions. I am just going to ask one question, if that's okay. Because you're talking about AI and the use of technology, and as you were talking, Satish, I was thinking of how the education system, and again, I'm coming from a perspective of a traditional British education, though I've lived in India for almost 20 years. How do we stop that being robotic? I mean, I know you said we join together as rivers, but the who, what, and the how of changing the education systems that are churning out, I think someone wrote in the comments, it's become a kind of a factory.
Yes. I mean, it's a very good question, how we do it. We do it by doing it. So we have to say, I am not going to be robotic. I'm going to remain creative, imaginative, maker, and not just a robot, using everything robotics. And so we have to start with ourselves. Then I think we need to build a movement. We need to have all those people who are thinking that machine and technology should be an aid to human hands and human intelligence, and not in place of human hands and human intelligence. If we can build a movement like that, and I'm part of that movement, and there are many, many people who are saying this. In India, for example, Vandana Shiva is saying this, and there are many other people who are saying this. So there are lots of people interested in this. So if we build together this movement, then I think we can create, and particularly in our universities and schools, we should educate our young people in the schools and universities so that they are using their intelligence and using their body and using their hands and then using technology as a help. So that's all we can do. We have to start where we are and do our best. We cannot control the results. Results are not in our hands. The outcome is not in our hands. Action is in our hands. When Martin Luther King started to act against racism, he did not know what the results will be. And after so many years, a black president could be in the White House. He did not know that. And when Nelson Mandela started to act against apartheid, he did not know when the apartheid will come to an end. He was in jail for 20-some years. But he acted. Action is in our hands. Act, and act. Results are not in our hands. We don't know if we will be able to stop or not stop. But we must do our best to remain free of this control by robots and control by intelligence, artificial intelligence. And they should be servants, they should be aid, and not our masters. That's what we have to do our best. Act.
Thank you, Satish. So I'm going to, so please everyone do share your questions in the chat. Like I said, I think Satish and Shakti have covered a lot of the things you talked about. I mean, Lisa's saying, is humanity not stuck in a circular reasoning? So mind is a tech machine, computers become better and better, and our minds thinks, we kind of make our minds think like computers. I mean, do you have any comment on that?
The computers are useful aid again. They are becoming very efficient. They are becoming very much like a mind. And they are becoming better and better. And I would like to say to people who are producing computers like Apple or Samsung or whatever their names are, that don't produce new model every year. Too much waste. Produce a computer which is so good that for 10 years or 15 years, it will last and it will have a durability. Year after year, new model coming out, such a waste of resources and a waste of human talent. And we throw away things like that. So although computers are becoming very good, but I would like them to be for 10 years, 15 years good and use them as a tool and not as controller of our mind. So this is a great challenge. I don't have a simple answer for that. Each and every one of us have to be alert and awake,
Yes.
and not
Yes.
allow ourselves to become slaves of computers and artificial intelligence.
This comes back to your point about LSEE, though, because the economics of a new computer are more attractive than the ecological aspects to businesses, right? There's a reason they do it.
Yes. But, business had to think that we need to press the business. We have to we are the consumers. We are the buyers. If we challenge them, we have our power. Don't think only business has the power. Only the Apple boss has the power. Only Steve Jobs have power. We also have power. But with our buying power, our consumer power, we can influence the producers. So I think we should use our consumer power as much as businesses use their production power and innovation power. They have power, of course, but we also have power. So empower every consumer. So we are going to buy something which will be beautiful, which will be useful, and which will be durable. If there's something not beautiful, don't buy it. If it's not something useful, don't buy it. If it's not durable, sustainable, don't buy it.
Okay. Vote
So
with your
beautiful, useful, durable. These are the three words. Please remember. Beautiful, useful, and durable. BUD. I call it the BUD principle. The BUD principle is the principle of regenerative economics.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to go to a question Suzanne's asked, and this is also linked to my area of interest in emotional intelligence. You were talking about we train people to use mainly half our brain. And Suzanne is asking, what's your opinion of students and teachers being encouraged to share their feelings in the learning areas?
I had talked about education of head, education of heart, and education of hands. The feeling is the heart center. And feelings are very, very important in education. So we must not only think, but also feel and also sense. Our senses, our eyes, our ears, our five senses. We should also have a sensual education. Education to feel and education to sense. So thinking, feeling, and sensing. These three things go together. At the moment, our emphasis is only on thinking and not on feeling. This is why I bring heart, education of heart. And the education of hands. Hands is a kind of sensing. Because through your hands, you feel and you sense. And when you are making something with your hand, you are also looking at it. You are listening to your teachers, how to make it. So your senses come into your hands. So this is why heart and hands become part of a holistic education.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Patricia's asking, in your view, how important is thinking together and speaking together, so dialoguing, to work out how to act? Is this something that we can do alone, or is togetherness vital?
I would say togetherness. Togetherness. We are a community. At the moment, we have become too obsessed with me culture. I, my success, my money, my job, my name, my fame, power for me, in my hands. We are too much me culture. I would like the regenerative education has to be part of we culture, from me culture to we culture. So we have to move from ego to eco, change the G to C. When you change from ego to eco, you become community. Eco is a community. Eco is a home. Eco is a relationship. Ego, separation. Me. So move from ego to eco, from me to we, from I to us. I am a believer in community. Learning is a community endeavor. Learning the community process. So Schumacher College is a community. And we want to learn in a community. And we want to offer our education in the service of community, in the well-being of community. So community for me is of paramount importance.
Thank you, Satish. Yes, community is. There's so much research around this, right? So I'm going to take Stephen's question. So given the urgency of the environmental crisis, do you think there is time to develop regenerative learning in mainstream education systems, or do we need to do something different?
Yes, there's a time. Because time is now. Time is not tomorrow. Time is not in God's good time. Time is now. And when God made time, if it's a God, he or she made plenty of it. So time is now to act. And if we don't act now, when are we going to act? And we also act with optimism. We have to have a hope, active hope, not passive hope. Not I hope something will turn out, not like that. Active hope, meaning I hope that I can change it and I act to change it. So that active hope, optimism. Without optimism, you cannot have activism. If you are a pessimist, you might become a journalist, but not an activist. So in order to be an activist, you have to be an optimist. And optimism and active hope and act now, time is now, do your best now, today. What you can do today and tomorrow again becomes today. So act every day. Results are not in our hands, as I said already, but action is in our hands. And time is now, yes, don't be pessimist. Don't say, oh, there's no time. If no time, what are we going to do? Pollute more, destroy more, extract more? That's not the answer. So reduce your pollution, reduce your consumption, reduce your extractive economics today. Start your a journey of 1,000 miles begins with first step. I went around the world 2.5 years, 8,000 miles. I walked step by step. So our action has to be step by step. Change has to be step by step. Transformation has to be step by step. So take the step now, today. That's all you can do. What will be happen tomorrow? We don't know. But we cannot be pessimist. We have to be optimist.
Okay, so yes, so activist and optimist at the same time. There's a few questions here. I'm just going to take this one from Mary first and then go on to Krishnans. So Mary's saying, Indigenous cultures have always had a regenerative learning approach, right? And they've always lived regeneratively. So can we center, or how can we center Indigenous people's perspectives in our regenerative learning?
Mary, you are absolutely right. Indigenous cultures had tremendous wisdom. And people of in India, Adivasis, in Australia, Aboriginal people, in North America, the American Indians, in South America, the Maya people, and many others. They had tremendous wisdom. And for thousands of years, they looked after the land, the forest, the animals, and our land and soil. At the moment, we are degrading our soil. So if we want to maintain the integrity of nature, we have to learn the wisdom of the indigenous cultures. And how do you do it? By becoming indigenous ourselves. How do we become indigenous ourselves? By connecting ourselves with the land. Indigenous people were always connected with the land. At the moment, we have become disconnected from the land. We live in urban cultures, industrial cultures, high-rise buildings, in the cars and trains and aeroplanes, and very hardly on the land. So if you want to be indigenous, go back to the land, have a garden, have a small farm, at least one day a week, do some gardening, go out in nature, connect with the land. By connecting with the land, you become indigenous. And when you are with the land, you gain wisdom. So wisdom of the indigenous people is available even today. And we have to learn from them, and we have to help ourselves to become indigenous by connecting and reconnecting with the land.
Yes. Oh, there's a couple more questions, and I'm conscious we've only got a couple more minutes. I'm just going to take this question from Lisa. What's your view on addiction? So we're addicted. So Lisa's point is we're addicted to capitalism. We're addicted to fossil fuel. We're addicted to consumerism. Is that an easy question to answer for you?
Yes, a difficult question to answer, because we have to create a kind of alcoholic anonymous organization, and we have to addict ourselves. And it's possible because, nature is so marvelous. Nature is so beautiful. Nature is so wonderful, so magical. We go out in nature, see the rainbow. This morning, I got up 6 a.m. and I saw from my window beautiful full moon and clouds and that beauty of nature, that let's get addicted to natural beauty. Let's get addicted to natural abundance. I have a garden of 2 acres. And in 2 acres, I grow vegetables and a fruit. I have 15 apple trees. I made 200 bottles of apple juice. Now that's a new addiction. I'm addicted to nature. Let's become addicted to the beauty and the abundance of nature. Let's get addicted to the love of nature. If we love nature, I think we will be happier. We are addicted to consumerism and addicted to capitalism, but we are not happy. America is number 1 economy in the world. Are they happy? They want more economy, more economy. They are never contented, never happy. Europe is very rich, and yet are we happy? No, because we want more economic growth, always in crisis. So if we want to be happy, we have to de-addict ourselves from consumerism and capitalism and become, if you want to be addicted, become addicted to natural beauty, natural abundance, natural fruit and vegetables and land and the rivers and the sunshine and the moon and the rainbows and the ocean. So wonderful. When you go out in nature, enjoy and celebrate. And that new addiction to nature is a good addiction. And we have to de-addict ourselves. So let's start like Alcoholic Anonymous, AA, something like that. We have to be a different kind of organization to dis-addict ourselves.
Thank you so much, Satish. I think that's also kind of answered Krishna's question about how do we, I think Krishna was saying how to remain competent. I'm not sure if it was even competitive when thinking about the technology industries and resisting adapting to the latest trends. So keeping competent, but resisting to some degree this pull to always be on top and creating something new.
Yes. Resisting means taking charge of your life. At the moment, we are allowing our lives to be dictated by consumerism and advertising and uniformity. Uniformity. Wherever you go, Coca-Cola. Wherever you go, McDonald's. Wherever you go, high-rise building. This uniformity has to be challenged. And we have to embrace diversity. When you embrace diversity, then local distinction, local economy, local culture, local languages, local music, whatever it is, embrace the diversity of life. Biodiversity, cultural diversity, religious diversity, linguistic diversity, truth diversity. So when you embrace diversity and overcome uniformity, then I think you can address these issues.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to do a very brief summary, Satish. You've shared so much and inspired us all with your passion and your insight and your dedication. For me, the things that resonate, and I'd invite everyone to write just one thing in the chat that if you were to say one thing you're going to do differently, you commit to doing, that you can do, I'd ask you to write that in the chat so we can capture that as I just summarize the key takeaways for me is around the whole point about learning is learning with our hands, hearts, and our whole head, not the 3 R's, the 3 H's, that we commune with nature, that we can learn the traditional in the morning and give the afternoon to the outdoors. And I'm sure everyone on the call, the most potent memories from learning from the education was when they were outdoors, when they went to a farm, when they were in the community, when they were collecting leaves. That was triggering memories for me when you were speaking like that. But why do we then persist in sitting and answering psalms and not being out and about and in the world? So learn by doing, and let go of our ego, let go of our eco. Eco as in economics, not eco as in ecology, so that we move from the me to we. And it's always strange to me that we know that community makes us feel better, nature makes us feel better, giving makes us feel better, making something ourselves makes us feel better and happier, yet we deprive ourselves of that. And I always wonder, why is it considered bad to challenge the capitalists? Why are we seen as the softies almost? It's almost derogatory, it's looked down upon, frowned upon to care about nature. I always wonder why, because, we're not the men. Well, you were saying, Satish, we're together with nature, but when push comes to shove, nature's not going to tolerate our abuse of nature. Right? Nature's not going to tolerate humans' abuse of nature. So why do we persist on this path to destruction? And that comes to your point of, as someone works with me says, educated idiots. The most educated people are destroying our livelihoods. So on that note, I'm going to quickly hand over. Thank you so much, Satish. Thank you so much, Shakti.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Shakti, to wrap up.
It's getting dark a bit, but never mind.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Satish and Andrea. I'm just going to wrap this up in a minute. So for those of you who are on this call, this is the first webinar under an umbrella which is called Shaktify. It is it's the formal launch of Shaktify, and starting with this webinar. And I couldn't have thought of a better speaker, a better topic than Satish and the topic of regenerative learning. And Andrea, you've been a fabulous facilitator. Thank you both, tremendously from the bottom of my heart. As a token of gratitude, Satish, I have, using the services of an NGO called Sankalp Taru, I have planted 5 pomegranate trees, for you in Rajasthan, and Andrea, for you, I have planted 5 guava trees or guava saplings in the state of Haryana. So that's just a token of appreciation for both of you to take the time out to be on this call. Very grateful to both of you, and Satish. Some of the points that you brought up today have been, so inspiring and extremely insightful. So I think we're going to leave this webinar with a treasure of insights that you've shared with us today. Thank you both very much. Andrea, thank you very much for being a part of this webinar, with me on this journey. I really much appreciate, and to our audience, from different parts of the world, that you have taken the time out. And I know for some of you, it's quite late in the night. For some of you, it might be early in the morning. But my gratitude to all of you who also signed up. Do stay in touch and stay tuned for more webinars. You'll be hearing of more webinars in the future. Yeah, so do stay tuned. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. And we'll close the webinar with this.
Thank you.
Thank you.